loan, savings, all the things all rolled into one. I don't know. We'll see how far we get. That's the goal though. How can we, help you if you're struggling in debt, help you if you're struggling with credit score issues, maybe even help you get some more into savings. All of that is where I'd like us to go, but I'm always okay with questions. So if you have questions that are on topic or off topic, ask away in the comments and I will gladly go down those rabbit trails wherever they lead us as well. So please feel free to ask away in the comments as we go through tonight. Now, this is a topic that we did almost a year ago. So it's been a little while since we have covered it, but it is a topic that kind of stays fresh in people's minds. How do we deal with debt? Do we consolidate loans? That's the last time we discussed this. This was a big question that everyone had, consolidating credit cards, all of that. So that's kind of where I want to start. First off, I want to cover basically, let's talk about what your debt is, because there's two different kinds of debt. If we were to really go simplified here, there is debt that is linked to something, and then there's debt that's not linked to something. So a credit card, for example, doesn't actually have something behind it. If I don't pay my credit card, that's not a good thing. It does end up affecting your credit score, but they're not going to come and take your house. Versus a mortgage loan, a car loan, there is actually a item linked to that debt. So this debt in that point, if I don't pay my mortgage, I have a problem. I'm going to lose my house. I'm going to lose my car. So that is the difference in these two different types of debt. So one is a loan that is linked to an asset, and one is a loan basically that is not linked to an asset. So this is important to realize, because the first thing that folks asked the last time we discussed this, which was a year ago, was what about getting a home equity loan or some sort of small loan based on the equity in your house to pay off other debt? No. You don't ever want to take debt that is not linked to any asset and link it to one. Meaning, if I don't pay that home equity loan, I can again lose my house. Again, if I don't pay my credit card, it's still not good, right? I'm not telling you to not pay your credit card, but I don't want you to lose an asset because you linked debt to it. So just to hit that one from the start, and honestly, with rates going up and up and up, that's really not becoming a logical decision anyway. I think the last time we discussed this, rates still were in their like 2.8% range. And so it felt like it made sense to do that. Now, where we are with current mortgage rates, I don't know that you would want to lump it in. Yes, it's better than your credit card interest rate. And that's where people get confused, because they think, no, my credit card's at, 20%, $24.99 is where a lot of, we just got a new statement for our Kohl's card. Yeah, you pay those puppies off every month. But if you can't, 24.99% sounds insane. It is insane. And lumping that into a home equity loan that is at 4% or 5% sounds magical, but you are potentially putting yourself in a really tricky situation. If money continues to be tight, you continue to put things on credit cards, you're not going to solve anything in the end. So just so we hit that one first, I do not want to take unstructured debt that does not have an asset behind it, and link it to an asset. I want to keep it over here, and maybe I do a horrible job of paying it, but I don't want to link it to my house or my car if you have those assets. So I don't think you're going to be able to link it to your car anyway, but you get the idea. So just so we've hit that one from the start, if you are looking at trying to consolidate debt, so you've got a few different credit cards, number one way to do this is to look for 0% transfers on credit cards. Now, if you have really bad credit score, this isn't going to be an option for you. We'll go there in a second. But if your credit score is decent, then you are going to be eligible. So I'm going to stick a link in on the comments, or have my husband stick a link in on the comments, to a great rundown of current 0% credit cards. A go-to for me is bankrate.com. So Bankrate has it's just a great place to go to see, like, what are the current mortgage rates, what are the current savings interest rates in banks running. But this is a great list that they keep, and again, I will put this in the comments for you guys, of just current cards offering 0% interest rates. Now, these interest rates are still only for a period of time. It's not going to buy you eternity to pay off this card. But this one, for example, is 0% for 20 billing cycles. So that is a little over a year and a half that it would be buying you no interest on transfer debt. So I can move the credit card debt that I have onto basically a new credit card and then pay it off before those 20 billing cycles are up. That's your goal. You don't want to have to transfer this guy again. Anytime we open a new card, anytime we open any sort of new line of credit or loan, that is affecting your credit score. So I can't play this game constantly, or here I am paying off my debt, but I'm still hurting my credit score. So, we don't want to do that. We want to pay off the debt and help our credit score. So you're really looking at doing this one time would be the goal, buying yourself those 20 months to then pay off the debt before the APR kicks back in and you're going to owe it all. Now you'll see on here what it says. So good to excellent on credit. And generally you're going to need good, maybe some fair to qualify for 0% cards. They know, though, with this 0% offer, every single one of them knows the reason you're buying it is to transfer debt. And so in all honesty, let's just be honest here, you are their ideal customer, because 9 times out of 10, someone who is transferring debt isn't going to change the way that they are living, or maybe can't. I don't want to make assumptions, but 9 times out of 10, they're not going to pay it off in the 20 months. Instead, they're going to have a higher balance. That's what the credit card company wants here. So you may look at this and think like, whoa, that's so amazing. Why would they offer this? Because they know in 15 or 20 months that they are going to be making bank on you. So you need to make this I'm going to do this. We are going to divide up how much is owed into those full payments and make them and not use this card. Okay. The goal is no more on this card. And I understand for some of us, you ended up there because of medical issues, things that were completely out of your control. But this is where, we jump back to some other Q&As and look at budgeting. What can we nix for a few months so that we can make these payments and not add more to them? All right. That's our goal. Consolidating debt, not adding to debt. It's everybody's goal. Sometimes it's easier said than done. So I'm not trying to attack anyone. I just want you to have that mentality, right? It's like dieting here. Our goal is to succeed. We're not trying to set ourselves up to pay off a couple months and then end up worse than we were. So 0% cards are a great way to handle that if you can qualify, versus doing a home equity line of credit or anything else. If you're in a boat that is much worse and you're not going to qualify, you don't have the good credit, you don't even have fair credit, you can go through some of the credit consolidation companies. They will lower your interest rates that are running. They're going to also put you on a payment plan for those as well. So just be ready to work with them. Some of them are going to try to charge you, but you don't work with the ones that are going to charge you a fee. A lot of these, they're offered by the banks. So calling the bank that your credit card is with. So if you're with Chase, calling JP Morgan and Chase, calling and saying, I need to get in some sort of credit consolidation or credit remediation plan so that we can get this under control, and seeing what department they have, because they want you to pay your bill. You aren't going to make them any money if you don't pay them anything, right? They want you to pay your bill, and working with them to see what they can bring down is a great option too if you're not eligible to get any new cards or change anything on your cards. Okay. I want to jump back and catch everybody's comments too. So hello, Nadine and Karen and Carl. Always good to have you guys join me every week. Marcy, I'm glad you approve. Yes, 20 months of no interest is a great way to give yourself a long time. Think about it in terms of a diet. If I said, okay, I want you to lose some weight, but I'm going to give you 20 months to do it, you're not feeling so stressed. So you're buying yourself a chunk of time if you can. Marcy, are there any cards that will give you intro no interest 6 to 12 months without a balance transfer? I would have said yes about 6 months ago. I don't know that you're going to find a 0% intro unless it is a promotion that is being run on a house card. So what I mean by that is you might see that through Lowe's or Best Buy. When you decide to buy carpet and get carpet installed or new appliances, they may offer you 6 months no interest through their house credit card. So that's really the only one you're going to see. You're not going to see that offer through just a Visa or a MasterCard. It's really going to be an in-house promotional offer from that store that is going to offer you that 0%. And it's usually only for 6 months, sometimes out to 9. But if you are looking for a way to pay for a new refrigerator or something, it can be a great option to be able to make those payments on that refrigerator versus having to eat that huge amount right now this month. So store credit card on that one. You still need to be careful. So don't go new fridge, new sofa hopping, because again, every single one of these is going to count as a hit on your credit score, and every hit does ding your credit score by a chunk. You're going to see 10, 20 points knocking off. The more and more hits you have, the more and more it's taking off too. So you want to do that sparingly. I want to price out where I'm going to get that fridge from first, obviously, and then make the purchase, make the credit line happen in the store right then, and don't go store hopping after that point. It did used to be an American Express offer, so we're not really seeing it from a lot of places right now because interest rates are climbing. We're not in that 0% interest rate that the Fed's been. That means the cost of money has grown for banks, and so they're going to only pass that on to you, and you're not going to see those 0% rates as well. And Jolene, you're not that late, so you remembered super close to time. I'm glad to have you join us. So really we've been super fast, just talking about quick, easy options for reducing credit card debt. So let's go into actual credit cards here for a second though too, because I am not opposed to credit cards. Most of you already know that about me. We've mentioned it in various Q&As in the past. Credit cards actually have a really good purpose, and they can help you build your credit score really well without having to go into debt. You just need to be smart with them. Now, if you're in credit card debt because of issues, this doesn't, when I say be smart with them, I'm not attacking you. We all have different life issues going on, but you know who you are. If you're in credit card debt because you like to buy things, that's, the case with a chunk of people, then hands down, you have to stop. So the easiest way to do this, first off, you need to do two things in today's world. First, you need to take these credit cards and either cut them up completely so we cannot use them, or lock them away. So if your bank offers a free safety deposit box, ours does with our checking account, though we don't use it. But that would be a great way. We're going to actually take them and put them in a box that it is not easy to access. So I'm not saying stick them in a drawer and you know where the drawer is, right? We're talking about it's a little harder to get to them. But the second step you're going to need to do is go onto your computer and delete the saved credit card. Because how many of us can now buy things online without even getting out your wallet, right? Your computer knows all the numbers. So if you legitimately are trying to stop spending, you got to do both those things. Cut up the credit card or literally kick it out of the house and remove it from your computer's memory. It's under your, like in your Chrome passwords and all of that in the back end of your computer. Nix it from it's probably safer anyway. Nix it from your computer. But credit cards are a good thing if used wisely for lots of reasons. The first one being building your credit score. So, I love Dave and Dave Ramsey's financial tips of getting out of debt and being a smart spender. But to not have a home loan, to not have a credit card, you literally have no credit score. And your credit score is actually helpful for you in a ton of aspects. You're going to have employers pull your credit score before you're hired sometimes just to see what you are looking like. Are you a responsible adult? It's a really good glimpse of that. You're also going to have that factored into life insurance and car insurance rates. So the better your credit score is, the lower these bills are going to be long term. So that's just a couple. There's a lot of reasons to try to have a good credit score. And using your credit wisely is the best way to do that, using credit. So let's talk about just in general, you're looking for a credit card. What do you want to look for? First off, I guess I need to back up again. If we're going to do this, when I say using it smartly, you're paying it off every month. There is actually a button in your credit card account. So you log in, you're looking at it on the computer. There's a button to click to set it to automatically pay off every month. And if you are not safe, you don't feel comfortable clicking that button, then you're using your credit card in a not smart manner. You need to be using your credit card in a manner that even if I didn't even look at the bill, I don't even know what the bill is, that I can have that button clicked and it's not going to bankrupt my family, right? That's where we want to be. But that's the safe way to use these. So for us in our house, we actually only use credit cards for anything that is outside of the house. Gas, if we're eating out, groceries, they all go on a credit card. I don't even carry a debit card. This did actually come into causing some issues, having to pay a tax bill downtown this past week. Got to pay an extra fee if you want to put it on a credit card, not on a debit card. But I don't even carry one. So in terms of what can I put on a credit card, it literally is going to be most of our expenses and then paying that off at the end of the month. And the reason for that is the rewards. That's the perk. Now, we're helping our credit score too, but our credit score isn't really that bad. We're not sitting here pondering, how can we raise our credit score? We're okay with where it is, but we are loving the points. So I am taking some kids to tour some colleges. Well, I can use Marriott points because we have a Marriott credit card to have an overnight stay, to tour a college in Chattanooga later this week, or touring Anderson in a couple days. So, we have that flexibility because of points on a card. So the first thing I want you to look for, now that we've had our little mom speech, what do I use the most? So do you want to travel? My mother-in-law and my father-in-law love their LL Bean card. Great. If you love LL Bean, get an LL Bean credit card. Not only do you get some extra perks of extra discounts for card members, but you're going to earn free LL Bean products. Whatever it is that floats your boat, look to see if I can get a card for that. Sometimes it is a card, kind of like Marcy was asking, that you're going to get just for a promotion. So maybe you got a Lowe's card just to get an appliance. Well, Lowe's, their goal is that you will then pay off the appliance and then keep getting more things, right? Now that you have a Lowe's card. You don't have to do that. You can close these temporary, treat them like a temporary card for those house cards and close them if you want when you have paid off the amount. But what I really am talking about here are your long-term cards. To help your credit score, we actually don't want to close most of our credit options. The longer that you've had a card or the longer that you've had a loan, the older your credit history is, and thereby it does add to your score. So if you happen to have a card that you've had since college and maybe you don't ever use it, I want to use it occasionally, just enough to keep it open. I don't want to close it because it very possibly is the oldest line of credit on your credit report. If you've had it since before you had your house or before you had your car loan or whatever you have, it's the oldest. And so I don't want to close that oldest card. But these temporary cards, if you do, I need to grab a deal, I need to get the 0% interest on the new fridge or the new washing machine, whatever it is, those are not to close that. Ultimately, not going to have that big of an impact on your credit score. So don't feel like I opened a credit card and now I have to keep all these credit cards because I was trying to get a 0% interest transfer or whatever it might be. I just really want to focus on the oldest ones that I can to keep my credit history as old as I can keep it, because that does help your credit score. So I'd want you to think about a card that long-term you want. So what are the benefits long-term that you're going to enjoy the most? So for our family, just to, lay it all out there, we have two that we use the most. We have an Amazon credit card and we have the Marriott card. And we've had the Marriott card for, 14 years now, longer than the Amazon card. It isn't going anywhere. It's probably one of our oldest credit cards at this point. But we keep it because when we're using it to buy things, we're earning free points to then stay in hotels for free, which is pretty great. So, you figure out what's going to work for you long term in terms of, whatever the rewards you're earning are. Hopefully not one you're going to not want the rewards here in a couple years. It's one that I want to keep the card. I'm loving the perks long term. So just think about what those might be. I know a number of folks that are like, what about a Disney credit card? You know what? If you love to go there every year and in 10 years you still think you're going to love to go there, then by all means, whatever it is that makes you happy. I will tell you, going a little more broad sometimes opens up more doors for you. So if you don't want to go specific with a brand, like I mentioned, ours are Marriott and Amazon, you could go with a company. So Chase in particular is a bank, but their credit cards run on Chase Unlimited Rewards. And Chase Unlimited Rewards has some of the broadest ways to cash those rewards in. So I can get airline miles, I can use them for hotels or rental cars, or you can even shop and just use them to buy things online if you wanted to as well. So looking into something like that, the Chase Freedom Card is a great option for even fair to good credit is available for the Chase Freedom Card, and it's going to open up some fun rewards for you. So that is a no monthly fee. We don't want to pay any of those things, not monthly, but no annual fee, to have a credit card. So you kind of want to factor in those options as well as you are pondering it. Okay, let me get to some questions here. Is it possible to get out of debt if you haven't balanced your budget? Oh, goodness. It's maybe a yes that you could, but probably a no that you're not. So if your budget isn't balanced, in the sense that you are spending more than you make, money's not going to grow on any trees. I'm going to have to either make more or spend less. Those are my only two options. And to be able to do that with an unbalanced budget would be pretty hard. Now, if your budget is out of balance because you make a ton and you're not spending it, then obviously you're good. But I have a feeling you're meaning the other way around. And we have to have a balanced budget and a little bit extra to be able to pay off that debt. I mean, honestly, open up your most recent credit card statement. Now that they have to tell you here in the last, 5 years or so, maybe even longer, they have to map out how long it's going to take you to pay off a certain amount. And you even get a little $400 balance on there, and it'll tell you that it's going to take 16 years if you pay this at the minimum amount every single month, and that you will have paid $100 billion more than the $400 that you owed. That's just your classic. They're spelling it out for you in black and white that you have to pay more than the minimum balances. And if you don't have the balanced budget to be able to pay more than the minimum, you're just going to stay underwater the whole time. So what credit card has the best benefits? So Alma, Again, I would go Chase Freedom if I had to. Like, if you didn't have a brand that you really wanted to go with, the Chase and Chase Unlimited Rewards is a really great option because I can use those rewards all over the place. And I can earn rewards on a lot of different spending categories. So one of the things about reward credit cards is if I go with a brand, so like Marriott, for example, I'm going to earn more points when I use it at a Marriott. But if I don't ever stay at a Marriott, then I'm just going to earn the normal amount of points on all my other purchases. So you want to look at what that rate is with whatever credit card you pick. Do I earn 3% back? Do I earn 5% back? Based on what I grab and where I'm grabbing it, what's my likelihood of earning a good chunk of points? The other thing that I would look at if you're eligible for a number of these cards is what is their kind of sign-up offer. Chase also does regularly run like 40,000 points, 60,000 point offers if you spend a certain amount in a certain time period. So a lot of times it's if you spend a couple $1,000s over 3 months. Now you have to pay that off or those bonus points don't do you any good, but that could be something that is also enticing for you, depending on what you're looking for. I would probably point most of you to a Chase Freedom card though. You can totally go hunting for something else. Chase does have some higher levels, but you're going to end up having to pay an annual fee with those. We've also been really happy if you spend a lot on Amazon, getting that Amazon card maybe might be a way to go too. You're going to get 5% back on every purchase you make on Amazon, plus earn on every non-Amazon purchase as well. So that might be, just getting more Amazon credit might be what you're interested in too. Kind of look at where you're spending money to decide where you want to go. Barbara, great question. Will the credit card be closed by a company if you don't use it often? Yes, it will. It doesn't usually need to be used very much. We're really talking like once every 6 to 9 months is enough to keep a credit card open. So you might have something that you just put on there that is a recurring bill, or you remember to use it for, date night every now and then just to keep it open. Just make sure if we're keeping it open that card you have definitely checked that button under savings to always pay it off. Because if it is a card you don't use very often, then it's more likely going to be the card you forget to make the payment on. So make sure that is automated so that you're keeping it open. I'm not going to lose it on my credit card report, but I'm also not going to get dinged for completely forgetting that I even used it in the first place. Just to make it a little safer for you. And in terms of credit cards, someone has asked, how many are too many to have? That's really, I guess, your call in terms of how often you're using them. There are 2 factors that your credit score is going to look at on the amount of credit cards that you have. And the first is your credit utilization amount. So if I have 3 credit cards and let's say they all have crazy balances or crazy available balances, you could have $20,000 on 3 different cards. Then the credit score companies view it as if you basically had a $60,000 loan, but you're not using it. Maybe each one of those, you're not having any balance on all 3 of them. Then your credit utilization is $0 out of $60,000. And that looks amazing. So I'm not saying go and get like 42 credit cards, but it is something to consider having a few, just 2, maybe 3 that have a available balance that can be a high available balance, but never using it, because that is going to significantly bump your credit score by helping your credit utilization and the fact that you're not using it. Now, here's an option too. If you're trying to bump your credit score, you're not eligible for those high value cards. This may be, you're going to need to go to someone that you trust here, maybe where we call up mama, or someone that loves you dearly, but it can be a way to kind of help you out. And that is asking someone that trusts you to make you an authorized user on their card. Now, they don't have to give you the card. You don't ever need to touch their card or even know the card number. But making you an authorized user on their credit card does link that account to your credit history. The card was not factored on your credit history at all, didn't pull your credit score. They just added you as a user to the card. It does show up in your credit history. Now, this isn't going to magically make you look amazing overnight, but it is going to help. Now, I don't want to do this if it's someone who is also in debt or not paying off their credit card. But it can be a great way if I've got, a teenager, I'm trying to help a teenager build some credit. I can add them as an authorized user on my credit card. Doesn't mean I even give them the credit card. But now that card does appear on their account and starts to help them build some credit history as well. Even though they don't have the card and they can't use it, they are an authorized user. And so it does appear on their credit history. It's an option. Again, needs to be with some folks that you trust, but it is a great way to help your teenagers build some credit history. It's also a great way when you do plan on getting a teenager a card that you plan on letting them use, that you've got some access to that. I know that they're not going to get underwater. I can see that bill just as well as they can see that bill, and I can quickly step in and say, whoa, we are not buying new stereo equipment when we don't have a job. We can have little lessons if we need to, but adding them onto your account is going to help them too, not just you adding onto their account. So just so we kind of all understand on that one. So yes, and M-Posey. So that's another one. She's mentioning Experian Boost. So if we're trying to build credit scores here, Experian Boost is a great one. With Experian Boost, you actually link in your bills. I link in the water bill and Netflix and anything else you can think of. They will spell it out for you, all of the available companies, Verizon. As you pay your bills, that is going to help your credit score as well. Now, this is not going to be like 100 points. So just to emphasize, this line right here tells you average users who received a boost improved their FICO score by 13 points. So this isn't magic, but it is something. If we're looking for something to help show that we are regularly making payments, then Experian Boost is great for that. And I will stick a link in on the comments on Experian Boost. There's no reason not to do this. I mean, really, they already know everything about you. So why not link your Netflix payments in there as well and get some credit for bills that you are paying? The other credit score companies are starting to offer this as well, but Experian is the one that is built out a little bit better. So if I would rather just spend your time on this one, and then maybe if you're starting to see some effects, you can add it in on some others as well. And Kathy, I agree. So it's really going to be your comfort on this. She says no to a cosigner and no to someone using my credit card as an authorized user. That is really just a last minute, or for teenagers, trying to build teenagers. You don't want a teenager having a credit card that you don't have access to. I want to know that the 18-year-old away at college is going to use this in a wise manner. Most of them don't. And the other part to that is that without you as a cosigner or you as an authorized user, they're still going to get so much credit card mail. There's going to be people on campuses trying to give them credit cards. So this way you've already sent them with one. They're not going to really be enticed by that, hopefully. And you're going to have a little bit of control over what's happening. So it's a really good one. And yes, and so LaDonna is saying she had kids as authorized users. It does, and it helped build their credit and then let them get their own once they graduate. Yeah, we are going to kick them off at some point. But it is a really great way to help your kids build credit, and potentially for someone who's in a really bad situation to maybe help out their credit as well. So that's really comfort level, big one there. And I don't know who that would be. Maybe it's still your kids, trying to help your kids out later in life, just being a little safe on that one. And LaDonna, with the cards and best rewards, it's a tricky one to answer. My favorite is the Chase Unlimited Rewards. So going with the Chase Freedom, which has a $0 annual fee, is probably one of the better options. But if you want to go with store specific, then it's really up to you and what you use the most to decide on that one. Okay. Oh, and Christy's chiming in and saying too, she has a friend that did that. They added their child onto the credit card at 16 years old, and today the kid has an 800 credit score. That's awesome. So it is a help for your kids for sure. Okay, now Wendy, how does asking your credit card limit to be reduced affect your credit score? So that's actually the opposite, Wendy. If I have a zero balance, reducing my credit limit really won't have much of an effect on my credit score. So reducing my credit limit with a zero balance still shows a great credit utilization rate because it's still the same rate, right? 0 out of 60,000 is the same as 0 out of 600. They do view it as if you have a lot of credit available to you, but you're still not using it as an added perk. So I don't know that I would go through and like reduce everything to $100. It's okay if you want to bring it down to sane levels though, because new credit cards these days, they send it to you in the mail and they're like, hey, it's got a $22,000 rate. No, I'm not going to go, you can't pay that off in a month. Don't do that. So it's okay if you want to bring those down a bit. Just remember, it really is the amount you owe over the amount that is available to you. So if I do owe an amount, I don't want to reduce those limits. I would then be making my credit utilization rate look much, much worse. So as long as we're not using them much, you're going to be okay to reduce those limits if you want to. Okay. And yes, so Cheryl says, a reminder that you need a variety of different loans. It's not necessarily a variety, Cheryl. It really is the history on that. So you paid off your truck. Well, that was probably a 5-year loan and it had regular payments showing up for 5 years on it. So having that loan close out is going to affect your credit score, but it's not going to affect it super long term. So having those credit cards, regularly using them and paying them off is doing the same thing. It's still showing a regular payment on your credit history. So just trying to make sure I've still got a credit card that's older than that auto loan is going to make that auto loan hurt a little bit less when it falls off. There are a lot of folks who like to hop around. We like to get those sign-on bonuses, and you can do that occasionally, but still always keeping the oldest loan that's available to you. This could also be a great reason to actually not pay off your home loan. So we have a mortgage. I'm not it's not a big secret. I'm okay with mortgages. Mortgages help build your credit history. I'm also not in a hurry to pay that off. I pay $100 more a month on the mortgage. Could we pay a little bit more? Yes. But in my boat, and this is kind of getting out of credit and into savings, our mortgage we refinanced last year at like 2.875%. I can earn more on that money going into investments than I can earn paying off my mortgage. So if you have a really low interest rate, you can pay off your mortgage if it makes you feel happy. But if you've got some extra money that you can put into savings, into investments, into other places, you're going to come out ahead. Now, I joked with some folks today that for the first time in my life, I am going to give you some advice that if you told me a month ago, I would have never believed you, that I would have told you to buy this. But if you keep up with the news or you like to talk finances at all, the Treasury Department made an announcement, and if you head to treasurydirect.gov, I'm not on the right page for you guys. So the Treasury Department made an announcement that they were raising the rate on I bonds, which is a Treasury bond. I would never tell you to buy a Treasury bond until today. So they announced, that it's at the top up here, that right now Series 1 savings bonds is currently at 7.12%. So if you buy their Series I savings bond, 7.12%, you do have to keep this bond for 12 months. After 12 months, if you take out the money, the only part that it's not really a fee, but you just won't earn interest for the last 3 months whenever you take it out. If you keep the bond for 5 years, you don't lose any interest in that. But seriously, 7.12% on a Series I savings bond. A lot of financial experts are expecting this to go up to 9% starting in May. So this is one that fluctuates based on inflation. So this is using a bond kind of to counter some of that inflation, but you aren't going to earn this money even in the stock market right now. There's really been no growth. Not a huge amount of loss if you just left it there and you didn't touch it, but really stagnant all spring. So a Series I savings bond, I keep seeing it and just going Roman numeral there. But a Series I savings bond, each U.S. citizen can buy $10,000 worth every year. You can also, it's a little late now because today's tax day, but if you had done your taxes and gotten a refund, you could have chosen to get your refund in bonds, and you can actually choose to do another $5,000 that way through your tax return. So up to $15,000 a year. That's a lot of money. I don't know long term that I would hold on to these. I would grab them. I would hold on to them for a year or two. I think at the end of that rate's going to come way back down to where it normally is. Savings bonds are normally in the 1% to 2% range, and they're great if you're retired and you're needing a solid income, not worried about it going anywhere. So that's why I would say, like, I never would have thought I would have told you to buy savings bonds, but it's 7.12%. Even if you hold it for a year and you sell it at the end of the year, or you hold it for a year and a half, that is going to be a really great earner for you when nothing else is really earning. Now, compare that to a 2.875 mortgage rate. This is better. Do you start to see that? Like, I could pay off the mortgage, but I could also take some extra money and put it into savings bonds. There's no scariness here. There's no risk here. But right now, it is earning crazy well. So the link for this, you go straight to treasurydirect.gov and you buy them from the government. Kind of crazy. It's a little outdated. You're talking about a site that, we're not building this for like user experience, but you will buy them straight from the government. And guys, you can buy these as small as $25. So we don't have to talk about all $10,000 here. This can be a really small amount. I did have someone ask me, well, wouldn't this be a great way to gift it to kids? No, let's not go there. So treasury bonds, long term, this guy's going back to 1%, maybe 2% max. That is not a great way to pass money on to future generations. If you want to pass money on to future generations, my tip would be just add them as a beneficiary to your IRA or whatever else, and whatever you have left, they can enjoy. But I wouldn't worry about giving them a ton of money long term unless you're willing to teach them how to cash this puppy out in a year. But you're not going to want to hold on to this for the whole 30 years that it is available. But it is a really great way to earn some money right now, taking advantage of that inflation rate jump on the bond. So Wendy, just so in case you didn't catch the answer there, the lowest amount that you can buy in that bond is $25. So you really can get, I think we could all afford a little tiny bit there, and you're going to earn that 7.12%, which is going to jump. That interest also pays twice a year. So you're going to get 7%, and then you're going to get 7% on the new value in another 6 months. So really not bad there. If the government tells you you can get a refund in bonds, so you know what, on this one, the point here, Kathy, is like, why are they making these jump? One of the things that we are seeing with this jump is the Treasury is trying to encourage people to save money. So when it comes to inflation, we've got a whole bunch of people spending money, supply and demand. So supply is low, demand is high because people are still spending their money. They're not saving their money at this point. So this is a goal to increase the savings rate, basically getting people to go with the savings bonds. Isn't interest determined on when you buy it? So yes, it is. But that rate right now, if you're on their homepage, this is all the way through April 2022. So your first 6 month payment would be at that 7.12%, and then it's going to readjust to inflation, which most people are guessing it's going to go up another 2% on the next readjustment. This also considers, just a little inside tip, it considers it as if you bought it kind of during the month of April. So you could buy this on April 30th, and it's still going to count as if you bought it on April 18th in terms of that interest. I just saw another one on should we withdraw money from our 401k and invest in bonds. So Wendy, no, I wouldn't there. I guess you could. You're of age to where you're not going to take a hit on that. But if you withdraw it, you're still going to have to pay taxes on that withdrawal, even though you're turning around and investing it in treasury bonds. So what I would probably do is just if you've got some extra savings and you want to go ahead and invest a little bit in that extra savings, you could. You could also look at investing in bonds in your 401k right now. Now, I don't know if you're still going to get those same rates, but while the treasury increases, you will start to see some municipal bonds that are trying to keep target with those treasury bonds in a small way. So it could be something that you talk to if you are with a financial planner, talking to them about some bonds. There are even bond ETFs right now, which are electronically traded funds. So there are some of those that are meant to mimic the I bonds. So maybe looking into those without withdrawing from a 401k, still keeping it in the 401k. The tricky part with bonds is that you're going to want to move them in this situation. Long term, this isn't going to be the best yield for you. Stocks is long term. It's a great yield right now. So I don't want you to move money just to then have it out in another year and a half and not really know what to do with it. So just so you kind of see that. So yeah, Wendy, I would call your Edward Jones advisor then and just tell them like, hey, I'm loving the news that I'm hearing on Treasury I bonds. What could we do to help hit those numbers in our 401k right now while the stock market is not performing? Are there some funds that Edward Jones would like to sell you? Because there probably are, that would help you to achieve those numbers. But yeah, you don't want to take money out of 401k to invest in bonds. You would more just want to put any extra savings that you had right now to take advantage of that interest rate. Okay. And that it is kind of fun news. It's very rare. The last time that we saw bonds go high was in 2009. You guys may not even notice that, but that was with the recession, trying to get out of the recession, and they did stay high for about a year after 2009. So in terms of having to hold on to a bond for 12 months, it is a good time. The rates just jumped. So it's a good time to go ahead and dive in for your 12 months and then dive back out. You also do not have to pay state or local income taxes on treasury bonds. You do have to pay federal taxes on them though, so just be aware of that one. Okay, so kind of a fun aside there if you're looking for ways to invest. To move on just a little bit there, we've hit a few things as ways to help your credit score. I do want to hit on one type of credit card that we haven't touched on. So if your credit is absolutely horrible and you're trying to rebuild, I mentioned the authorized user, but probably no one's going to really want to put you on their account as an authorized user, but there is an option for you, and that is a secured card. So like I mentioned at the very beginning, we have debt that is secured. It's tied to an asset. So your house, your car, and then you have debt that's not tied to an asset. Well, a secured credit card is tying it to an asset. You are giving the bank $400 and they are giving you a credit card that has a $400 balance. This still counts as a credit card. It still shows up on your credit statement, your credit history, as showing regular payments. So you're still going to make that monthly payment. They're just going to hold on to your $400. They're not going to use it for the payments. You're still going to make regular payments. And you have a credit card. Now, I know it seems kind of silly, but it is probably the only way to rebuild absolutely horrible credit scores and credit histories. Now, I do have some good news for you. If your credit score or credit history has been affected by medical debt, there's a lot of changes coming there. So come July, all medical debt that is less than $500 is going to fall off of your credit history. I know that's not super helpful, but if you've got some medical debt that you didn't pay, it went to collections, and it got reported that is $500 or less, it's not going to show up come July, which is pretty great to have that go away. There are also some changes coming in next year in 2023 that will help for larger amounts of medical debt. So hang tight, and maybe that's going to help. I remember vividly meeting a mom who had medically fragile child and thousands of dollars worth of debt. You've got to do what your kid needs you to do, and I get that. And no, I can't make that, it's not about balancing the budget in that sense, but hopefully for folks that are in that boat, some of these changes are going to help a little bit on potentially opening up other lines of lower interest credit. That would be the goal, right? Get your credit back to where it's in a decent range, and I could actually get an actual loan from the bank or some other form of credit that's not this 25% credit card debt, even if it's that transferring to those 0% cards that we mentioned in the beginning. So, and then in terms of, as someone was mentioning, like car loans, going in and grabbing, not saying that you need to go out and get a card, but you do want to spread out the types of credit that you have. So, going in, a home loan is great. It's okay to have a loan. If you have paid off your house and your credit score has actually been affected by that, you could get a home equity line. I don't know if that's where you really are, if your concern is having a credit score at that point in your life, but you can. So you can vary your debt. Not saying to go buy a car just so you have a car loan, but the amount of variation in debt does affect your score. So as someone was mentioning, she paid off her car and her credit score went down. Some of that is based on the history of the accounts, but some of it is on the variation of debt too. Okay. Let me make sure, sorry that Carl's saying he had a friend that took 5 years to pay off credit card debt. Be careful, everyone. It's an easy thing and a great thing in terms of rewards, but super easy to get into trouble with. So one of the tips there that you could do is to treat your credit card like a checking account. Most of us do not do this. You use your credit card and you don't really think about it after you use it. But if you went old school and you got your little paper register out, think about how we all learned to balance our checkbook, and you wrote down what you used your credit card on every time you used your credit card. First off, the statement wouldn't scare you because you would know what the statement was going to say, but it is going to help you get a really clear picture of just how much money you're spending as the month is progressing, because that's the problem. Credit card is, out of sight, out of mind, and you don't think about all those gas bills adding up or fun things adding up if that's what gets you on the credit card side. So that's a huge one. I would highly recommend for teenagers or adults that you actually treat that credit card like a debit card and you write it all down so that you have a running total of how much you are going to owe at the end of the month. And it's going to help you to spend less money. That's how it works for all of us, right? Even if we don't write it down, you get the credit card bill and all of a sudden my kids, if we've had, a big month or some payment that we weren't expecting and, we can pay it, but you still have that, okay, we're not buying groceries this week. We all go into hardcore mode, but if we were writing it down on a regular basis, you don't have to have that. All of a sudden we've gone drill sergeant here on all the money in the house because we knew what that amount was going to be long before the credit card bill came. On that note, there are a number of really great money management programs like Mint, MoneyWiz. I use MoneyWiz on my Mac, and I think it's Mac only. But Mint, QuickBooks, Quicken, whatever you want, they'll pull in your credit card, and they don't pull it in by statement. They pull it in by purchases to date because they are able to link in with your credit card. So you could do that as well. I automatically can see every time I open up my money management software how much is currently on the card, how much I've been using the card today, this week, the last couple of weeks. So you're not scared when that monthly bill comes, because that's really what ends up doing it to folks is we do get out of sight, out of mind, and then all of a sudden we owe more than we can actually pay off this month. And as soon as that happens, it's just going to sit there and snowball the other way and get bigger and bigger. Our goal is to, pay off our debt with, you can do the snowball effect, as Dave Ramsey says, but that's going backwards. We don't want the snowball to get bigger. So just some tips for avoiding that in the end. Oh, why is it called old school? Well, I just mean if you still use a paper register, that's kind of what I mean by old school. On the paper, line by line, writing everything out versus using money management app or whatever it is that you happen to use. It shouldn't be old school. You should definitely balance your budget in some form or fashion, not meaning that you're just not writing it all down. That's all I meant by that. Okay. To keep moving, I'm glad I have brought some news to some of you guys on the savings bonds. I see a few of you folks mentioning that. And Carl has a great tip too. So he says he started an Edward Jones account for his daughter when she was 25. He told her to set aside $20 a week for the rest of her life to invest, and she would be surprised what it would be. Exactly. I think it's important to teach our kids what compounding interest and growth can look like, and the fact that really, really small, long term, because starting really early is where we all should be. And go you for teaching your kids that one, Carl. That was my dad, so I can claim my love of finances and whatever else is really all my dad. So I'm proud of you too, Carl, for doing that for your kids. And M. Posey is saying utilizing cash only and using big bills like 50s and 100s is a great way to save. People spend 20% more by using credit cards. They do. This is very true. So I'm telling you, we use credit cards for all of our expenses. But if you do go cash only, you go cash envelope system, you are going to spend a lot less than you do when you use a credit card. Or if you would like to still use the credit card and use the perks, paying it off as soon as you make the purchase. So this is one that has become like a standing rule in our house. But I took a kid for her birthday. We went to Kohl's. We took advantage of our 30% off Kohl's coupon, which you have to use a Kohl's card to use the 30% off coupon. Paid it, bought the items, and then before I even walked away from the register, got out the checkbook and wrote a check to pay off the Kohl's card. Now that's one that in our house you can't set to auto pay off. It's very annoying. It's not a feature in their back end, and it has slipped through the cracks, just not catching the bill. So that has become our way of handling that particular store card. But it is a way that you could handle any credit card if you wanted to. If you made a purchase, paying that off at the end of the day, at the end of the week, not waiting for the monthly bill, but pulling up the credit card statement saying, okay, I bought gas twice this week and I bought groceries this week, so I'm going to make that payment right now. You can do that. I do not have to wait until the bill comes. I can make those payments right away. And then I'm going to have a better chance of not ending up underwater in the end. So we have a very strong view of the Kohl's card in our house, as I see my husband chime in on it. But the Kohl's card having, the 30% and the mystery 40% are pretty great. Okay. So in hitting all this, I think I'm trying to remember everything that I said we were going to hit today. We hit a lot. I did mention the bank rate in general. But there's one thing that I did not mention yet. So sorry, guys. I did want to mention in terms of credit monitoring, Credit Karma, the credit bureaus, there are so many ways to monitor your credit for free now that you should be doing this. Not only just across the board for identity protection, but it's going to help you to spot if something is going awry or you did miss a bill. So Credit Karma is completely free. It monitors all 3 reports for you. It doesn't give you your actual score. They'll charge you for that eventually, but it does give you kind of their version of your score. I've been very pleased with it. And it is very accurate. So this one, actually, we had an issue. My husband and I had date night, I guess 2 weeks ago now, and accidentally left the credit card at the restaurant. So on the way home, we canceled the card. That card, still haven't gotten the new one in the mail. It's not a big deal. But I did get an email today from Credit Karma telling me that I had been added as an authorized user, because canceling that card, technically, it ends up creating it as a new account, which is kind of a bummer. But that card is technically in my husband's name. I'm the authorized user. I got an email from Credit Karma telling me that I had been added as an authorized user. So at first it was, what's going on? And then the realization that, the company has now basically put the cards in the mail and it's this card. But still really helpful to get that email, to be alerted to that, and be able to catch it. We've had really bad experiences as well. So this was, goodness, probably 6 or 7 years ago, but somebody did steal my husband's identity, opened a bunch of credit cards in his name, as well as I think bought a phone in his name from AT&T, all on credit. And we didn't catch that for a couple of months until these bills started to hit. It wasn't us. We didn't open 10 credit cards all at the same time. So this is where having something like this, keeping an eye on things, is a good idea. They're free. So Experian, all of the credit bureaus will also do that. This is just one that links them all in together. So just as an idea, if you don't have any other sort of identity protection behind you, it is one that is free and is helpful. Now, it's not necessarily identity protection. It's just giving you the chance to be alerted if something changes, but it's definitely a good one to be signed up for and to be monitoring. Okay. There we go, Wendy. So my husband just stuck that in the comments for you for the Experian Credit Boost. And that's to get that started on the other monthly payments. And good. Cheryl says she also loves Credit Karma. It's really helpful. They also offer free tax services through, they basically have linked in with Cash App. So if you needed to file your taxes next year, hopefully you did that. Tonight's the last day if you didn't do that. Today is tax day. Let's see. Sorry guys, trying to catch back up to see what all your comments were. Kathy's tips: never charge more than you can pay. She learned that many, many years ago. Once you charge it, spend it and deduct it from your bank account. She checks accounts daily. If she's over budget or close, then it's eat out of the freezer for the rest of the week or the month, which those are great tips. Yeah. Your grocery budget is probably your most flexible budget, and a lot of us don't always view it that way. But if money is super tight, then we need to be super tight with what we bring home or what we don't bring home. And that's the easiest way to go. So I love it, Kathy. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hop off, guys. I'll be back on tomorrow for all the drugstore deals. So that will be at 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, Tuesdays at 2. So if you can't catch me live, you can always catch it after the fact. There are a number of fun deals and freebies this week and some money makers. So hopefully you can catch that in both CVS and in Walgreens. Thanks for joining me tonight. We'll be back again next Monday night, same time, same place, always at 8:30. If you've got a topic you want us to cover, feel free to let me know. Send me a Facebook message or an email, and I will be glad to add it into the rotation. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Carl's reminding us, yes, tax deadline's at midnight. So you do have 2.5 more hours. Hopefully you've already done them though at this point. And Carrie, I am going to do, yes, I will aim to do a Publix video. It's not going to be this week though, Carrie. I am going to try to squeeze in walking Publix and touring Anderson with twin juniors on Wednesday. So yay for college tours, but I will work to get a Publix video up after our end of the week touring 2 different colleges in 3 different days. So next week, maybe that's where we need to go on that one. But I hope you guys have a great rest of your night tonight, a great rest of your week if I don't see you tomorrow. And if you find any other deals, feel free to send me a message on those too. Always glad to have some help in deal hunting. So thanks for joining me, guys.